It's your boy, sometimes girl, Charlotte Carolina, and I'm back with another one. This might be a touchy subject, so be warned. Well, anyway, I was watching Paul Mooney when I was working on my Paul Mooney video earlier this week, and he said the only AIDS that Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, has is financial aid. And then I was thinking about, Charlie Sheen had AIDS, but Mike Magic Johnson was around him. So I was thinking, is Magic Johnson actually cured of AIDS? Does he have the cure? Did he really have it in the first place? And there was this doctor that Charlie Sheen was working with named Sam. And I was wondering, if Sam got the cure and Dr. Sabi got the cure, do you only have to be rich to get this? Probably, but listen to this and tell me what you think, guys.
Let's go to that fateful day. Had you been sick? Had you been suspicious that maybe you were carrying the virus? Or how did it come? Just a regular checkup?
That's a regular checkup. I didn't know. I wasn't sick. I was just sitting at a hotel in Utah and getting ready for an exhibition game against the Jazz. And Dr. Melvin called and said, hey, you got to come back home. I said, okay, well, won't I play the game? And we're coming back tomorrow. I said, no, you got to come now. I said, okay, what's going on? And they wouldn't tell me. So I flew back to L.A. So, I walk in the office and he started talking about the test. Insurance company, you got to take physicals. And then what came out of the physical was you have HIV.
You were on the floor yourself, I heard, for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The doctor tells you, and you just laid on the floor.
Yeah, it was, you're just in disbelief and in shock.
Yeah.
And I think that, you're sitting there like, man, how could this happen to me?
And what does this mean?
And what does this mean? And of course.
Right.
But I was just devastated because I thought I had did everything right. And then the worst thing was Cookie was pregnant with EJ. And
you had just been married 2 months earlier.
Yeah, just been married. And all that came crumbling down. And the worst thing about it is I knew I was going to hurt her because she had waited for me, been patient with me, supported me. And now I'm about to break her heart. So that ride home was probably the worst thing that you can do is to ride home and try to figure out how I'm going to break this news to her. This devastating news. And as soon as I got to the door, this door,
yeah,
she knew something was wrong. And she was like, what's wrong? And I sat her into the room next to this room. And I just sat her down and began to tell her that I had HIV. And that just broke her heart. She began to cry, not knowing what that meant for her and the baby at that time. And then, as she's crying, and I often tell people when you make a mistake, and you not only hurt yourself, but you hurt the ones that love you, and that hurt me. That hurt me. I just committed to it. I just said, oh, man, we're going to do this. And then, I said, hey, I can understand if you want to leave me because, I'm now turning your life upside down. And she smacked me upside my head and said, we're going to be just together. Let's get on our knees and pray. And that's what we did. And I got the great news later. God blessed us when the test results came back on her and the baby that she didn't have HIV and the baby didn't either. And so I don't know what would have happened if I got that news that she would have HIV as well. That would have been just devastating to me.
The blood was then incubated, cultured for 4 days. day, Charlie Sheen opens up about living with HIV. All right, so let me show you a little chart that Dr. Zenga and I made in preparation for the show. He's been following your blood levels of HIV. This is the viral load. And with your permission, I'm going to share this with everybody.
Please, by all means.
So back on July 19th, 2011, you were diagnosed. You had 4.4 million of these particles that they identified. Kind of a lot. A lot. It's a lot. And within 6 months, as you see from this chart, it's back to normal. It's undetectable. And I want to point something out to everybody, but Charlie, especially for you, it stayed undetectable in those 3.5 years since you got it under control.
Sure. So why would you take a risk
Of not taking a cocktail that seems to really be working well for you?
Well, actually, I didn't see it as Russian roulette. I didn't see it as a complete dismissal of the conventional course that we've been on. But this, I'm not recommending that anybody else do this. I'm presenting myself, I guess, as some kind of a guinea pig.
All right, so Charlie traveled to Mexico searching for an experimental treatment from a doctor I've never heard of until Charlie told me about him. His name is Dr. Sam Chachoa, and he claims to know how to cure HIV and AIDS. We went looking for information on Dr. Sam Chachoa on the internet and found a controversial and mysterious figure. He claims to know how to cure cancer and AIDS, but we couldn't track down much more on Dr. Chachoa than a couple of videos on YouTube.
It's revolutionary. It's quite new, with powers and abilities far beyond those of normal therapies.
That's a big claim. I wondered why neither my team nor I had ever heard about this therapy, or Dr. Chachoa himself. It's not easy to get in touch with him, but I did finally speak on the phone with Dr. Chachoa about Charlie's HIV status.
In the first development is you to go HIV negative. The conventional medicine has never done that. He was still HIV positive 5 years after he started his antivirals.
But Dr. Chachoa claims his therapeutic approach has essentially cured Charlie's HIV.
This is the first person in history without antiretroviral therapy to go HIV negative, and PCR zeros now went back down to zero.
Dr. Chachoa is not licensed to practice in the U.S. He resides and practices in Mexico, where Charlie Sheen recently visited him in his chase for the cure. So you went to Mexico.
I did.
To visit with Dr. Chachoa.
I did, yeah.
What's the treatment? What's being done?
It was a series of injections and then blood work. And again, we did see some incredible results early on.
Explain what you saw that was encouraging.
That off of the med cocktail, that I was undetectable.
HIV titers were not detectable.
Yeah. And it stayed that way. I did an experiment that was I didn't have any faith in, but I went along with it. Two dear friends that they withdrew their blood. I withdrew some of mine, and I added mine to their test tubes. The blood was then incubated, cultured for 4 days, and when the results came back, all three were undetectable. So I actually sat and observed this stuff. That actually happened. And if you'd seen something like that, wouldn't you have thought, okay, there might be something here?
So is that a form of bloodletting, y'all? You know how when you take out all the bad blood and replace it with good? I don't know. He ain't a doctor. Y'all tell me, but watch this.
Said I was terrified. Saying I have HIV is something big. It changes your life.
Taking
unilateral treatments is not a desired option. They have all their side effects on our body functions. They're very expensive. That is especially limiting in resource-poor settings, of course. Take, for instance, Lesotho, where $25 are assigned per person per year for health care. You can imagine that adequate care for HIV infection is just absolutely impossible.
But there may now be an alternative. Medical researchers have developed a therapeutic vaccine that could defeat HIV. Unlike conventional vaccines which prevent disease, a therapeutic vaccine helps equip infected bodies to defeat a disease that's already been contracted. Around 1% of the population have innate immunity to HIV. Their bodies can fight the disease without the need for drugs.
We wanted to help people to become this normally only 1% that can deal with the infection without taking drugs. And so what we wanted to achieve is really what we call a functional cure.
A functional cure is where the patient doesn't suffer any of the problems associated with HIV, but there may still be traces of the virus in his or her system. HIV infects some of a person's white blood cells that normally help protect the body against illness. Once the immune system is compromised, an infected person is at risk of dying from such diseases as tuberculosis, pneumonia, or the flu. HIV is so hard to treat because it is usually hidden from the body's own defense system in otherwise healthy-looking cells. To kill it requires a two-step process. Firstly, the vaccine boosts a patient's immune system so it is better able to fight the virus. Then the patient is given a drug called romidepsin, which causes the HIV-infected white blood cells to release proteins on their surfaces, identifying them to the body.